Culinary hijabi here. Today we're going to do fettuccine. So instead of me doing a super long video where I make a fettuccine and any accompanying dishes, instead I'm just going to do a two-part series. And this week, of course, is going to be part one, fettuccine, which is a very flat pasta that is cut thick. So this differentiates itself from linguine, which is also flat, but it is a little thicker, and then it is skinnier. So fettuccine, you're going to use 3 to 4 eggs depending on the recipe. I'm going to be using bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour as well, but preferably bread flour. And then olive oil and a pinch of salt. And that's going to be all the ingredients that you're going to need for this particular episode for just the pasta. And then next week I'm going to the second set of the series, and we're going to take that linguine and any other pasta that's left over and create some dishes out of it. So it'll be a what you cooking episode. So definitely stay tuned. So the process is a little bit tedious, the pasta making process, but it is fun. A lot of hard work, a lot of kneading involved, a good workout if nothing else, and some tasty pasta. So definitely stay tuned. Let's get into this video. Peace. Alright, so we're getting started now with the fresh fettuccine pasta tutorial. So we'll start with 1 pound of bread flour, and we are weighing that out now, measuring 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Yes, you cute. So we're going to pour down the flour onto the top of the table. So you want to make like a mound or like a little mountain, because you're going to make a well in the middle. So you want to spread it out and keep the walls intact well enough to hold the eggs that we're going to pour and crack into the middle. So with this video, we're going to do about 4 eggs. All right, perfect. And then we're going to pour in the olive oil. Lovely. And a pinch of salt. That's my pinch. So we're going to whisk the eggs together with a fork, and what you're going to want to do is slowly pull in the flour into the middle of the well and incorporate it into the egg. And you want to make sure you do it slowly and gradually so that it doesn't make a huge mess. Inevitably, it probably will make a little bit of a mess anyway, because you're working with a lot of eggs, depending on how many eggs you use and how much pasta you're trying to make. But so when the sides get collapsing a little bit, that's when some of the mixture will fall out. But no worries, we'll get it taken care of. Yeah, so go ahead and keep whisking with the fork, and basically just to get it incorporated enough so that we can start kneading it. So it needs to get a little firm so we can start kneading everything and get this pasta going. I'm using the what is that called? I don't even remember. The little pastry cutter thing. That's what it's called today. So we're using the pastry cutter thing in order to help incorporate some of the liquid, because it traps it really well. And then get that incorporated back into the flour. Yes, my hands are a mess. And really, the more you work with the flour and the more you are kneading the dough, all of that stuff on your hands will pretty much come off unless you have like excess. So we're going to kind of gently start kneading the dough, because it's still pretty fragile. The egg inside is still pretty liquidy, pretty loose, and then it'll get really super sticky, even more so on your hands if you're not gentle with it. You want to make sure to have a little cup or container of flour on the surface so that you can easily pour more flour onto the surface, like so. And you want to make sure that you're not over flouring the dough, but just enough. So when it starts to stick in the beginning of your kneading process, you're going to put more flour, mix more flour in, but toward the middle and the end, it won't be as much. So you'll be able to feel the difference as time goes on. So literally, you're gonna knead for like 15 minutes. 15 minutes of kneading. But if you look at the dough, you can see how the kneading is gradually changing the consistency of the dough. It's actually pretty cool. Stretching a little bit. It's been going on for quite some time. If I went ahead and let it play out the whole way, then all we would watch was kneading through this whole tutorial. So we're cutting some of that out. But I did want to show that the kneading process is very important and the transformation that the dough goes into. Look at that. It's pretty. So now the dough consistency is ready to sit. So after 15 minutes of kneading consistently, flour the tops and the sides a little bit so that it doesn't stick to the plastic, and then you're going to wrap that in the plastic and you're going to let it sit for 30 minutes. So if you're planning on cooking another dish, you can definitely start that, get your mise en place together while that dish, while it's sitting for 30 minutes, and then come back to it as now. So look at the dough right now, how the consistency has changed so much after letting it sit. So that kneading brought out the elasticity, I guess you can say, that we want in order to have a nice buoyancy and stretch and all that good stuff. So we're cutting it into 4 pieces, and that's just showing how stretchy the dough is at this point. And we're going to get the dough ready to go into the first, well, after we put these away. So you can actually put these in the freezer and they can hold for like 2 months. But you want to make sure they're in like freezer bags. So this is the pasta machine. So it has the fettuccine cutter, it has the spaghetti cutter, and then it also has the middle portion of it where we're going to flatten out and smooth out our dough in order to make for the nice stretchy pasta. You want to flour everything, like literally everything. You want to flour the top of the table, you want to flour your hands, you want to flour the table that the machine is going to be sitting on, you want to flour the machine, literally everything. So right now we are smoothing out the dough. So we go from the largest setting on the pasta machine, and in that middle setting it has 1 through 8. The largest setting is 1, and at this point we're just smoothing it out. So we go through it multiple times, then we flour it consistently, yeah, I said that right. And then when we pull it out, we just fold it in 3s. So 1, oh, you can't really see it because that little red sign is in the way, huh? So basically I'm just folding it up into like an envelope. So we switched the angle so that you can see the inside. Now we're gonna actually go through the process of stretching out the pasta. So before we were just making it smooth. So now we're actually going to stretch it out to make the nice long pasta. And you are still going to be using the largest level. So you use the largest level and you go through twice. And then you consistently flour as much as needed. Make sure you get a good amount of flour on the machine, because if you don't have enough, it'll stick, and then the dough will get tangled up into the machine. It'll be a whole mess, and you don't even want to deal with it. So we're not going to fold it in 3s when we go and when we're actually making the stretching out the pasta. You just consistently continue to pass it through, flouring as much as needed. And after 2 times on one setting, you go down to the next setting. So you start out setting 1, and then after 2 times, you go down to setting 2. I guess go up to setting 2. It is a gradual process, and you want to make sure to take your time, because one thing you don't want is for your pasta dough to rip. So be gentle, and just kind of guide it through, because you don't want it to get stuck on the sides or the corners, because it can rip and tear as well. So if you did a good job with kneading, then this part will be pretty seamless, or should be pretty seamless, because the kneading is what gives it the elasticity that it needs to undergo the vigorous work that we're putting it in. So I'm making sure that I'm flouring each side, the front and the back, and changing the setting. So again, the higher the setting on this particular machine, the higher the setting, the smaller the pass. So as the pass gets smaller, it puts more pressure on the dough, and it squeezes it to be thinner and thinner, longer and longer. And so when we get to the 8th setting, that's where you should have a nice see-through, long, nicely widthed, is that right? Is that a word? I don't know. Pasta sheet. And then you can, like, if you want to do ravioli, you can do it from that state. If you want to do dumplings, well, I don't know if that's, actually don't even know if that's the same thing, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say. But check out how the pasta is transforming right now. That's kind of dope. I don't know. I like that type of stuff. The longer the pasta gets, it can be handy to have another person, like if you have, a family member or whatever, to assist with grabbing the pasta at the bottom, depending on how long it gets and depending on how, like, able you are. Because it gets pretty long. It can get pretty long. So this will be the first and only pasta tutorial like this. So the next time that I make fresh pasta on the channel, I'll just kind of speed through it, because we've already, learned how to make it. So you won't need to have it broken down each time. And then you can always refer back to the video. Yes. And at this point, it gets very, very flimsy, and it can rip very easily. So you just have to be very careful as you're handling it, and make sure that you are floured up, even at this point. But also you want to make sure that it's a balance, because you don't want to have too much flour where it is like starchy, if that makes sense. Guide it in. There it is. Lovely. So you see how it's starting to become transparent. It is at the level of thinness that I'd like it to be. And now, so we are cutting it into our fettuccine. So I cut the very long one piece of pasta sheet in half, because it was super long. in order to make 2 sheets and then make for easier cutting, passing through the pasta. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. SubhanAllah. That is so beautiful. Yes. We made that pasta, okay? So we're gonna pass through the second one to make the rest of the fettuccine. It's definitely not the easiest as far as effort is concerned, but it is very simple and you can definitely do it with a little practice. Don't forget to come back next week so that we can actually make some dishes with this fettuccine. And I do have some other pieces left over, so we can also maybe make some ravioli and just kind of experiment a little bit, along with some protein. Someone is literally on my texting me while I'm trying to do this. But yeah, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and support your culinary hijabi. Really great to see you guys again tonight. Assalamu alaikum. Toba is out.